live.
Hello, everyone.
Day 5.
Day 5, tip 5.
Day 5, tip 5.
And then we're done.
X-Men.
No
Yeah.
more.
This is it. This is it. This is like a final.
It is. There will be nothing beyond.
So if you have any questions, you better hop on here.
Exactly. How does it get better?
How does it?
So I was looking at like, okay, so what's the 5th tip? And I'm just really joking about that because, you know, being the X-Men that I am, you know, you look at like, okay, this is the last day we're going to do tips. And it's like, what am I going to like talk about? And what I now know is like, what came was nothing. And what's really interesting is when I first learned about the Access X-Men body of work, say that 3 times. One of the things that I was really struggling with was that I had this thing that was coming up for me where if someone would ask me like a direct question or I would look at something directly, I would go into this place of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like I kind of would deer in the headlights kind of thing. But it was always a really weird space. And I was getting a lot of like, some of the people that I was working with, I was getting a lot of like intensity because it was really annoying to them that I would say, I don't know. And in my world, it was that sense of, I don't have a thought or I don't have one thing that's coming to me. And I remember I had a session with Diva Diaz, and she's been facilitating X-Men classes for a long time. She's brilliant. And I told her about this because I was really upset about it because I was like, oh my God, like people ask me questions and I don't know, like they asked me stuff and nothing, like, I don't know. And, you know, and I was like, I suck at my job and I was doing all this weird stuff. And she said, well, is it that you don't know? Or is it that you get such a massive download of information that it's just like basically blows your circuits? And you're just kind of in this like, duh, of like all these different things I could choose. Like, what if it's the opposite of I don't know? What if it's that you now have 10,000 million threads you could pull? And
yeah,
I was like, oh my God. Like it was the coolest awareness. One of the coolest awarenesses I've had since, you know, finding the access tools and playing with this body of work. Cause it changed.
Well, you've actually helped me with that a lot. Like I would go into the wrongness or maybe
totally. You're like, oh my God.
Different things. And I remember asking you because like I glitch, and that's the only way it's almost like the way to explain it. Like there's certain things that will like glitch me where I'm like, and then you mentioned that, and I was like, wow, it's like even certain people will come to me, and like even that one person, it's like this download of everything, and I'm like, wow, like why is this person like driving me crazy? Why is it too much? It's because the intensity of all of their information at once. And when you told me that, I was like, oh,
it's such a relief. It's such a fucking relief because no one tells you that you have the ability to be aware of that many things, and that when someone presents their universe to you, which we talked about, I think on tip 1, when someone presents their universe to you, that you have the ability to download everything in their world like that. Like, and you know, I'm just looking at like, well, they asked me this question about what would you like to, you know, how would you like to do this email? And I'm just, you know, and then I'm like, shit, I can't do emails. You know what I mean? And it's like, how many of us have actually lived our whole lives functioning from this false point of view that we are not as brilliant as we actually are. So that's a bonus tip. It's not really what I was going to talk about, but I guess that's what we were going to talk about. Cause like, it's like, you're
not as messed up as you think you are.
Yeah. It's like,
you're in the right place.
More capable. than you have ever given yourself credit for. And what are you misidentifying and misapplying as you being fucked up that is absolutely the opposite of that?
Yeah. And
And
I almost wonder too, like information, like I never acknowledged it as information. Because sometimes, you know, information comes many different ways. Sometimes it's like just a download of an intensity that I'm like, or sometimes it is information, words, picture. It just depends. But
it can be a menagerie of things. Because even now, since then, like I've realized that there was a lot of areas where I was misidentifying and misapplying information as awareness and awareness as information. That's a whole nother story.
that's the next tips.
That's the next 5 tips. But it's like, really, truly, how are you in the world, and what things do you know, and what ways, like what things do you have, like what's the word? It's like, what do you have available to you that no one here has available to them?
I love that.
And
It truly is like the X-Men, like even like the movie, like they're, you know, like they're mutants, they're wrong, but they actually have like these superhero capacities. And
well, and it's like what makes them superheroes too. It's like I watch those videos and it's really hilarious. It's like really funny in the sense of like we make the things that they can do significant, but really if you look at it, they just have something different available to them.
yeah.
And they use it, right? In
Yeah.
whatever way they use it. And I wonder, like, if you were to actually ask yourself, like, spend the next week just being in the wonder and curiosity of like, wow, what do I have available that I've never acknowledged that is uniquely available to me, whether it's something that you can do, whether it's something that your body can do, whether it's something that you see that no one else sees. And it could be even more things. And the thing that we were going to talk about, which this is leading into it beautifully, but the thing that we were going to talk about was, you know, creating your future. And what even is that? And right now it's really interesting being in the planet, because I just said in the planet, on the planet. But anyways, on the planet, because so many people are doing such interesting things with the future. And so many people are trying to like look around to see what everybody else is choosing as the future. What's okay to choose as the future? You know, like, can you go out and like choose for you and not wear a mask? Can you actually trust your body and your immune system and not be wrong? Like, can you also like be fine wearing a mask? Because from your perspective, that you're contributing to creating people being more safe. Like, where are you looking at everyone else to try to figure out what your future is going to be? And I wonder if you were willing to go, I'm not actually going to choose that this time. I'm not going to choose based on what everybody else is doing. I'm going to actually be in the question of like, what do I know here? What would I like to create? And what future would I like to have?
Yeah. And like what you said, like, I wonder what's available for me.
Yeah. Because right now it's like such a cool time. Because you could do that. You could just look around and go, oh, this is the majority of the population. I'll just do that because it's the easy thing to do. Or you could go, okay, nothing is the same. Everything is different. Like, that's one thing that I think we all somewhere in our worlds absolutely know is like, things are different.
Things are totally different.
So what would I like to create?
Well, and how much of the old information just really isn't even relevant anymore to like what we're creating and what our future is. And
yeah. And what if that was okay? Like, what if you didn't have to like lug along all your, you know, all the things that you've made significant and real to you in the past, lug them into the future? What if you could completely change what you
It's like a huge opportunity.
What like you desire. There's so many possibilities. And for those of us who have this, you know, ability to look at something and basically be aware of 10 million and one things that we could choose.
Yeah.
Like, what if we really committed to our lives and committed to what we uniquely can create? Because the thing that we've talked about over these 5 tips is that there's nobody else on the planet that is you, that
Yeah.
has your awareness, that has your talents and abilities and capacities, that has like the energetic awareness of what you know is possible. Like, if you don't go for it, nobody will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We got a lot
I'm
of
not even
people.
sure if that's a tip, but it's like that. Like, are you willing to go for it? Is
Yeah.
really
Well,
more like where I have been in the
yeah.
last, like, like, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks, who knows about time, but it's like,
Yeah.
I was just telling Becky before we came on, I'm like, I have so much change going on. I'm like vortexing and shivering, and my body is just like,
Yeah.
like, what if you don't have to have all the answers? What if you could just friggin' go for it?
Yeah, just go for it. And I had like this cool, like just awareness of me where I've always been trying sort of fit into this reality when I'm really totally insane.
No, not you.
Yeah. And, and insane in a great, fun, X-Men unique way. But how much have we learned even from early on to like, I get some of it comes through, like maybe I allow probably like 10% of that like insanity to come through and I do create with it. But I was like, holy crap, like what if I just allowed all of that uniqueness to come through? And what if I didn't have to define it, because from an early age, I've had so many awarenesses that are so beyond this reality that I never even really had words for. So I was like, I'm insane. I'm crazy. Like, I would never do drugs, not because I was coming from a place like drugs is wrong, but I'm like already slightly insane with like the things that I can see and imagine and do. I was like, if I took psychedelic drugs, I would be like, bye bye world. I'm probably not coming back.
Well, and what's interesting is like with this whole COVID experience, like that is what has occurred for people. Like all the things that we were trying to fit into are gone.
They're just gone. Yeah.
Like if you look at the example of like I use this a lot when I facilitate classes, like, you look at the example of public school and how public school is all about like, creating fitting in and creating structure and creating order and all that stuff. And it's like, they're not even sure how to freaking have school anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, so it's like, if you were willing to really, truly like not make any of like your past relevant,
Yeah.
it's not that it didn't happen. It's there. It is. It's acknowledged. What if, and you could just literally go, okay, cool. Like, there's this cool space of there, like the solidity of the things that you felt like you had to keep connected to in your past. It's not even there anymore.
Yeah. It's like your story's gone. It's so cool.
And so like, really, truly, what is available and what can you create? And one of my favorite things about this X-Men body of work and facilitating any of the classes is to be present when the people that are starting to like realize they're this different show up. It's so much fun because everybody's so different and everybody's so aware in different ways. And you get this sense of like, they're choosing to create from their unique mixture of what's them. And there's nothing more exciting to me than that. Because if we get a bunch of weirdos actually creating what they know is possible, what would the world look like in 50 years and 100 years and 500 years?
Sounds like a lot of fun.
I think it sounds like fun.
I think it sounds like fun too.
It's a place I would want to be.
Yeah. Welcome to our world.
Yeah. So those are lots of tips and just
lots of tips.
More like, hopefully more gifting of an energy that maybe may contribute to you having more of you and being able to choose more.
Yeah. And you know what? Like there's a I believe on the Access website we could always put it in here too. Like if you'd like to look into more about the X-Men tips, there is much more information available. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's www.accessconsciousness.com/X-Men. It might be Access X-Men. We'll put it in the comments. And, you know, there's amazing facilitators all over the world, and we all are, hello, just a little bit different. So, you know.
Yeah. And if you're here, you might be a little bit different too.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And what would it, you know, like what would it create if you really started to acknowledge it and started to not just be okay with how different you are, but embrace it as the gift that it actually is to this planet and to the people and to what you know is possible.
How does it get better than that?
Yeah.
I heard Gary say something today, and I'm not going to quote it, but it was something similar to, you know, because we talked about in one of our tips about being too much, you know, like the energy of being too much. He's like, what if you are willing to have too much? I was like, oh yeah, like an X-Men, like what now? Instead of, you know, like, too much, like, what if you're just willing to have too much fun, have too much money, have too much abilities, like have too much.
Have too much of you.
What? Can this world handle it? I'm not sure, but we're gonna find out.
Is that even relevant? It's not even a relevant question. So if you were willing to have too much of you, what could you create? So I just wanted to thank Becky for being on these 5 tips with me. It's been amazing. I hope that you guys all got, you know, something out of it that contributed to your life, into your bodies, into what you know is possible. And I look forward to seeing you all out there mixing it up. And I'm sure we'll be doing stuff in the future. So
yeah,
I'm grateful and stay tuned.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.